Hey guys, it's Ashley Francis with Blue Sage Counseling and Wellness, and today I want to talk about 11 ways to cope with grief during the holidays. Now this is a two-part series. This is part one. The second part is going to focus on how to support somebody during grief during the holidays, and you will find the link to that in the comments below. But today we want to focus on if it is you yourself that is going through grief during the holidays. So first we want to acknowledge that the holidays are a really stressful time to begin with. You are worried about being at the right place at the right time, all of the money that you're having to spend on gifts and shipping them away, all of the parties or the activities that you're requested to be a part of, the decorating. There's a tremendous amount of stress and pressure during this time. And if you're going through grief, it just adds that much more to it. It's just that much more difficult. So we want to talk about some practical things that you can do to help yourself feel better during this already stressful time. I also want to make the distinction that grief is associated with the process that we experience following a loss. And losses come in all different shapes and sizes. This could be the loss of a job, the loss of relationship, the loss of a child or a potential child, but this can also be the loss of normalcy. During the year that this video was made, we're experiencing COVID, and we're all experiencing a loss of normalcy. And you may have noticed that you have already experienced some stages or parts of grief, but it may have a resurgence, or you may not have felt it up to this point and starting to feel it during the holiday season, just simply because of the nature of this season. And it's a reminder of all of the things that we've lost and all of the things that we're not normally able to do, seeing our family members, being able to decorate the way that we normally can. All of this is associated with the loss and the weight of all that. So I want to make the distinction that what we're really focusing on for this discussion is in reaction to the loss of a loved one. So the first thing that we want to focus on is that time, in fact, does not heal all wounds. I hate when people say that. It's so annoying. And if you say that to somebody who is experiencing a fresh loss, it's just happened, they're going to probably punch you in the face. It's just not a good thing to hear. It's not a good thing to say. So what we really want to focus on here is that it's what you do with that time following the loss that really does make all of the difference. So what we mean by that is simply allowing yourself to feel whatever you feel, however you feel it, whenever you feel it. Again, there is no right way or wrong way to deal with grief. Whatever comes up for you is what comes up. You're likely to go through many different stages. You're likely to have mood swings. Maybe you're going to feel one way in the morning, and by the afternoon you feel completely differently. Know that this is normal. That's okay. That's part of the grieving process. Being able to make the best of your time is being able to lean into the loss, to be able to feel those feelings. Some people are comfortable with talking to other people. Some people aren't, and that's okay. But the point is that you do want to get those feelings out, even if it is just a matter of journaling and you don't talk to anybody about it. That's still okay. It's all about how you choose to use that time. I can say that I have seen several folks who have experienced a loss and they don't do what's necessary in order to take care of that loss. In other words, they don't grieve, they don't engage in some sort of grieving process. And it's almost like they're still stuck in time. It's almost like the loss to them feels like it literally just happened because they're in such a state of stuckness that it's kind of like they're going through the motions of where they were at the time of that loss. And it prohibits them from being able to enjoy life, to feel fulfilled, and to just move forward. So it is possible to get stuck in your grief. And this is one of the things that you can do to either prevent that or to get you out of a state of stuckness. If you're in a state of stuckness right now, that's okay. You can start anytime that you want. So the next idea is to give yourself some grace and be kind to yourself. Here again, this is a season of busyness. And if you're going through stages of grief, then you might feel the typical pressure to make sure that the house is decorated just right, or you are organizing the perfect holiday party, or you're making sure that you are shopping and you get the perfect gift. give yourself permission to not be perfect this year, to just give it up. You can decorate if you want to decorate. You don't have to decorate if you don't want to decorate. Maybe you want to opt for shopping online instead of actually going to the stores. Whatever feels good to you, that's what you want to do. The next tip is to be kind to yourself. You know how you can hear yourself giving the best advice to someone else, but you know that it's really advice that you should be following yourself? Now is one of those times that you want to follow your own best advice. You want to check in with your own intuitive wisdom. It's not a time to feel guilty or to compile all of the things that typically make you feel bad about yourself. Be kind to yourself. Give yourself that room to feel whatever you need to feel whenever you feel it there again. The next thing is to ask for and accept help. By and large, this oftentimes is the hardest thing for most people to do, especially if you're the type of person that wants to go it alone, you figure out your problems by yourself, you don't need anybody, or you feel like you don't need anybody. Now is not the time for that. There are no heroes when it comes to loss. And as we said, it affects everyone, and it affects everybody differently at different stages of life. Asking for help could be as simple as just asking for some space. Even if you're not wanting to talk about it or you're not looking for any sort of advice, just simply asking your family members to take a step back. Just let me be by myself for now. Let me have 15 minutes when I get home at the end of the day just to be by myself. That can actually go a long way. The next thing is to give back. Now, this may be difficult if you're experiencing a very fresh loss. We tend to be very intrinsically focused. We're kind of focused on ourselves during that time. So you may not be in a space to be able to give back during that time, and that's okay. So you may want to consider that this is something that needs to happen during the latter stages of grief. But what we have found is that when you are part of a community, whether that be ongoingly or it's just a one-time thing, if you're donating some of your time and or energy or your resources to other causes, it gets us out of our heads, out of our bodies, and we feel like we're part of something bigger. During grief, our world becomes very small, and we feel as though we're the only ones going through it. When we're able to engage in a community and actually offer parts of ourselves to other people, perhaps who are going through the same thing or something similar, it helps us to feel more optimistic, more hopeful, and more connected. The next thing is to stop making comparisons. This one's really hard, and you're probably going to do it anyway. But when you start to recognize that you feel as though your sister seems to be over it already, or you notice that your dad seems to be largely unaffected by the loss of your mother, it's easy to make the assumption that that person is not in pain and that they're stronger than you. This is detrimental. This can be particularly painful in terms of taking that personally, feeling like there's something wrong with you, that I am defective or I'm not strong enough. I need to just kind of will myself to be stronger in this case. And I'm here to tell you that's just not true. It's just not true. Things are not always what they seem, and we're never going to know exactly what's going on inside somebody's personal experience. So the best thing that you can do here is to just focus on what your needs are. And when you feel like you're in a stronger place, be able to offer support to other people who are also hurting. But pay attention to what you need and don't be afraid to ask for it. The next thing is just say no to things and be done with it. This can also be hard for folks that traditionally are coping with things like codependency. They're the yes person, the doormat kind of person. It's really hard to say no. But you know what I've kind of found over the years is that when we go through grief and loss, it puts us in a place that maybe we've never been before. And it automatically just gives us this sense of strength to be able to take into account the things that are actually really important to us. We take an inventory, so to speak, of what's really important to us and what isn't important. And when those things start to culminate, or you're able to feel them in a way that maybe you're not able to do when you're on autopilot and you're so task-oriented, you're able to notice that it's the relationships, it's that sense of connection, it's the quality time, it's the joy, it's the sense of fulfillment that we have with the people that we love Those are the things that are most important and make life worth living. So when you are able to have that shift in perspective, it actually over time becomes easier for you to say no, maybe in a way that you never have. And the important thing is once you've said no, be done with it. You're on to the next thing. You're planning different ways that you're going to engage in your grief process. You're thinking about the other things that you want to do around your house, or you're just simply trying to put your life back in order, and that's okay. Next is to focus on what you can control. You can't control the Christmas music that's playing in the department stores. You can't control all of the pushy advertisements that are trying to guilt you into buying their product. All of that stuff is just going to be there. But what you can control, there again, is how you spend your time and how you choose to engage in your own grief process. So you may want to do things like giving yourself permission to shop online. There again, giving yourself permission to sit out the holiday parties. If you don't want to travel, you don't need to. It's all about focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you can't. The next thing is to plan ahead or don't. Again, I think you see a theme here. It's totally up to you. For some people that are task-oriented, they really like to have a plan. They like to have to-do lists. They like to have their days planned out. Sometimes that can be helpful. If you have been grief-stricken and you've been in the bed and you've been in your bedroom for days on end and you're just kind of sick of lying in your own filth and you're ready to get going again, simply writing down some things that you want to do, starting very small, maybe 2 to 3 things, can really go a long way. But also, if you are the type of person that likes to plan, maybe this is the time to let others plan. Get it off of your plate. It really just depends on how you feel and what feels good to you. What is going to make you feel better and stronger? The next is to celebrate however you want. However you want. So if you want to decorate the tree in a different way this year, give yourself permission to do that. If you want to start a new tradition that honors the departed, now is a good time to do that. One of my favorite ideas is to create a memory box so that you can put little trinkets or reminders of the person that has recently passed, and to be able to honor them. And now this is a new tradition that you can engage in years to come. And the last one is to give yourself permission to feel happy. I hear quite often that during the grieving process, the bereaved will go through times of joy and laughter. Usually they're few and far between and they don't last very long, but they do happen. And as soon as they laugh, or as soon as they are feeling a break in all of the sadness, they feel guilty. They feel like, I really shouldn't be experiencing joy because it's dishonoring the person that is departed. And I can see where you're coming from, but you have to stop and ask yourself, would the bereaved really want that for me? Do they want my life to stop? They are the ones that are no longer here. And as crass as that sounds, and as fortunate as that sounds, it's simply the truth. They are not here, and yet you are. And life is going to move on. You get to decide how quickly you move on and how you do it. But nonetheless, you simply must. You simply must move on. And that means embracing whichever feelings come up for you. It's okay to be happy. Maybe transform that into a way of being able to honor the departed. I feel good that I'm able to be happy. This is what they want for me, or what they likely have wanted for me. And even if they didn't, even if they're a horrible person and don't wish anybody to be happy, don't you want that for yourself? You're headed in the right direction. And you also know that grief happens in stages. It's a matter of time before that roller coaster is going to be on the downward slope, but it'll also come back up again. And know that those moments of happiness and joy is a signal to the fact that you're on your way. So that will do it for today. Those are the top 11 ways to cope with grief during the holidays. I hope that you enjoyed this. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Take care.